You ever feel like the old school, top down, Monday to Friday way of running a company is, well, a little stuck in the past? Like we're all following a rigid blueprint for a world that just doesn't sit still anymore? Well, turns out some companies are totally tearing up that blueprint. They're designing something new from the ground up, and we're going to take a look inside. I mean, think about it. The world is changing so fast, with technology and markets constantly in flux. The old ways of working are really starting to feel the strain. So the real question isn't just if the traditional hierarchy is obsolete, but what's actually coming next? What's going to help companies stay quick on their feet, innovative, and, a good place for humans to actually work? So here's the core issue. Those rigid, top-down structures, they were built for a world that was stable and predictable. But today, they often end up being the very thing that stifles creativity and slows everything down. They can become these massive bottlenecks, holding up information and good ideas. Okay, so what's the alternative? We're starting to see this rise of what researchers are calling unconventional organization design, or UOD for short. And no, it's not just one specific model, like a magic formula. It's a whole new mindset about how we can work together. Basically, a UOD is any company that deliberately zigzags when everyone else is zagging. Instead of just defaulting to the classic pyramid structure, these places are actively experimenting. They're asking, hey, what if we handled tasks differently, or shared information more openly, or changed who gets to make the big decisions? It's all about becoming more adaptive. And this isn't just some high-in-the-sky theory. Everything we're talking about here is grounded in a really fascinating 2025 study by Agruña and her colleagues. They actually went inside 5 innovative Spanish companies that are living and breathing these ideas every single day. So this gives us a real on-the-ground look at how this whole thing actually works. And what they found is pretty cool. They discovered 6 key components that kept popping up in all of these companies. You can think of them as the fundamental building blocks for a new kind of workplace. And the key thing here is that they're all interconnected. They work together to create a system that runs completely differently from your typical company. So let's start by looking at what we can call the core operating system. This is the engine of the organization, right? It's made up of 3 internal components that really drive the day-to-day, and they're all held together by a super unique and flexible way of making decisions. So those 3 pillars of the operating system are responsible freedom, ample transparency, and collaborative workflows. Let's break down each one and see what it actually means in practice. First up, responsible freedom. Now, this isn't about chaos or letting people do whatever they want. It's a culture built on deep trust and autonomy, but, and this is key, it's balanced with clear accountability. As one senior employee put it perfectly, micromanagement just isn't in their DNA. You're trusted to own your work and make good decisions. Next, we've got ample transparency. In these companies, information isn't power that's hoarded at the top. It's a resource that belongs to everyone. We're talking financials, strategic plans, it's all out in the open. And what that does is it empowers everyone to make smarter decisions because they can actually see the bigger picture. And the third pillar is collaborative workflows. So forget about rigid departments and silos that don't talk to each other. Here, teams are fluid. They form around projects and problems that need solving. Like this analyst said, everyone gets to contribute solutions. It's all about tapping into the brain power of the entire organization. So you might be wondering, what holds this all together without a traditional boss? That's where adaptive governance comes in. It's the glue. It replaces that rigid command and control structure. In these companies, decision-making power flows to whoever has the most expertise on a topic, not just whoever has the fanciest title. Now, wrapped around that core operating system are 2 incredibly powerful guiding principles. You can think of these as the twin engines, or maybe the North Stars, that propel the whole organization forward and give everyone a clear sense of purpose and direction. So, on one side, you have this relentless drive for disruptive and continuous innovation, a culture that's all about experimenting and learning. And on the other side, you've got sustainable impact, a deep commitment to not just the employees' well-being, but to making a genuinely positive mark on the world. These aren't just posters on a wall, they're baked into everything these companies do. This quote just nails the innovation principle. Instead of punishing failure, these companies embrace it as a crucial part of learning. The whole fail fast idea means that mistakes aren't something to be ashamed of, they're valuable data. That removes the fear that so often kills creativity and keeps people from trying new things. And this quote, it just perfectly captures that second principle. For these companies, making a profit isn't the only goal. They're fired up by a much bigger purpose, a real desire to have a positive, sustainable impact. And that sense of mission, it's an incredibly powerful motivator that gets everyone pulling in the same direction. Okay, so while all of this sounds amazing, we have to be realistic. These new ways of working aren't some kind of magic bullet. They come with their own unique set of challenges and trade-offs that you have to navigate really carefully. This table really lays out the balancing act, right? Responsible freedom is amazing for innovation, but it can also lead to burnout or people going in different directions if you're not careful. Full transparency is empowering, but it can also create information overload and anxiety. And all that collaboration can spark brilliant ideas, but let's be honest, it can sometimes slow down decisions. The secret sauce is learning how to manage these tensions. And that brings us to the most crucial point of all. The magic isn't in just getting rid of bosses. The real hard work is in thoughtfully designing new systems, new ways to communicate, new routines to stay coordinated, new feedback loops to stay aligned. You can't just remove the old structure and leave a void. You have to build something better in its place. But here's the really hopeful takeaway from all this. What this research shows, without a doubt, is that it is possible. These 5 Spanish companies are living proof that you can build organizations that are more agile, more innovative, and just more human. Places where people are excited to show up and can actually bring their best selves to work. So that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As you think about these 6 building blocks, from that idea of responsible freedom all the way to having a sustainable impact, what's the one unconventional idea that your own workplace could use a dose of right now?